So I want to start you guys from the beginning, because if you're going to list a short sale, you want to know everything you possibly can so nothing goes wrong. Because you do not want to get through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months of time to have it fall through. And yes, there are 10-month short sales. There are 12-month short sales. There are 2-year short sales. Usually they're FHA. But I'm here to tell you that, you know, it could be an FHA sale before you start, so you'll know whether or not it's worth your time. So the types of short sales are largely going to dictate what you're doing with your listing. And there's different types of short sales, believe it or not. It's not just a short sale on the market. Lenders, typically, the investors dictate what you need to do with that short sale in order to sell it. So traditional short sale, you have a Freddie or Fannie short sale, FHA, USDA, VA. These are all types of short sales. A reverse mortgage is a type of short sale. Many of them have their guidelines listed online. If they're government backed, typically those guidelines you can find online, and it will help you set up your listing the correct way from the beginning. A lot of the non-traditional or non-GSE short sales do not list or do not have their guidelines online, but of course I encourage you to call the servicer and ask, you know, do I need to know anything before I list this? How do you find the info? How do you know what type of short sale it is? You meet with Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they sit down, they tell you if they Chase for a mortgage servicer, they have Bank of America, they have some other mortgage servicer, Wells Fargo, but it's the investor behind that loan that largely dictates what you're going to do with that sale. So how do you know who the investor of that is? There are certain websites you can go to, and we've listed some here, and they are in your handouts as well. Websites where you can go to look up the investor of the loan, the investor behind the servicer. So if you have a Wells Fargo loan, maybe Wells is the owner of the loan, maybe Fannie Mae is the owner of the loan, maybe Freddie Mac, maybe FHA, and they will dictate what you need to do with the sale. I mean, you're submitting bank statements, pay stubs, tax returns. Sometimes you're submitting it 2 or 3 times. The file gets shut down. They're just incredibly slow. And it's because the servicer now has to go to the insurer, which is HUD, and run their paperwork by them. It comes back, they have to do variances. It's long. So definitely a more cumbersome program for you to do. We do them all the time, but we prep everybody. I try to prep a buyer's agent that comes in. Hey, I want you to know the short sales FHA. Please be ready to have your buyer ready to be prepared to wait. If I have an agent that comes in and says we want to close in 45 days, this probably isn't a property for you. So I'll have that conversation with everybody up front just so they know what to expect from the FHA process, and we're going to do our best to get it through as quickly as possible. FHA also, which is nice, will pay $3,000 at closing as a moving incentive to the seller. So that's a nice little thing when you're talking to your seller, you're sitting down with them for the first time. You can say, if you're living in the property, by the time the appraisal is done, you know, if they do it only one time, then you can get a $3,000 moving incentive at closing.